Hello and welcome to Zeta Loops 101. This short guide will talk about the timings on the Zeta loops, sort of loop theory you need to have to play Zeta, and some extra info about Zeta that I just want to impart and share. When looping with Zeta, it is important to note that the dive properties change based on whenever Zeta has her vengeful buff online or not. Here we can see that when Zeta's vengeful buff is online, her dive produces 2 flashes instead of 1, which allows us to further delay our loop for specific purposes. Also, it is important to note that Zeta has a personal sigil, which increases the timing window for her loops, making it easier to consistently loop with her. This sigil can only be found rolling the Transmarvel system later unlocked once you reach Proud difficulty. So good luck with that. The following was all the timings with no buff.
Keep up! Just try to run away! Keep up!
Also remember to not button mash when looping. So once you get sort of used to looping normally with no buff, you can slowly start getting used to the adding delays to your looping when you have a buff, which will be sort of super useful to learn for our next segment going into the looping theory, the looping sort of idea you have to be in with Zeta.
Oh yeah! One more! Keep up!
So with Zeta, her entire game plan is to get her finisher, our best hammer, via her loops as much as possible. Typically, you would only not cash in this finisher if the situation does not allow for it. For this finisher, there are 4 unique ways to get to it. 0 loops needed if coming from a link attack. 1 loop if Zeta is in link time. 2 loops needed if Zeta has her vengeful buff up, but must initiate the loop at the second flash instead of the first. And finally, the standard 3 loops into hammer, which many are familiar with. So to summarize, we always want to fish for hammer if possible. 0 loop when link attacking, 1 loop when in link time, 2 loops if you have your vengeful buff, and 3 loops as the normal way of getting your hammer. So with the 2 major things done about Zeta, here's some additional info that I found or have on Zeta that may prove useful to you.
Yesterday is not today. I let the